What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. My name is McCue, and today we are doing a review of the Hoka One Clifton Edges. I've run about 160 miles in this shoe, and I think it's time I give you my opinion. Okay guys, so first things first, I do have a little bit of a disclaimer. This shoe was provided to me by my local Fleet Feet. I stopped in, I was actually picking up the Rincon 2s, and one of the managers there was like, hey Kyle, you wanna try out one of these funky extended heel Hokas? And I was like, you bet. So I left with a pair of the Clifton Edges, and I have been enjoying them ever since. But first things first, let's get into the build of this shoe. Okay, so starting out at the top of the shoe, you have an embossed TPU yarn. This is a really cool upper that I find is a little bit more form-fitting and makes you feel like the shoe is custom fit for you. Moving down from there, you have a high resiliency foam as your midsole. This runs from heel to toe. It seems pretty lightweight because it is pretty big in size and gives you a nice smooth ride. And below that, as an outsole, you do have the rubberized EVA, which gives your shoe a little bit more life to it. Now, there are a couple aspects of this shoe that I would like to mention. First off, that extended heel, it juts out, and I find it to be pretty helpful actually in transition. My stride, I'm a bit of a mid-foot striker, maybe even sometimes close to my heel, and I find that that extended heel really helps in transition and gives me a nice smooth ride. Another feature that most runners tend to look for with these shoes is that gusseted tongue. Now that just means the tongue is connected at the midfoot to the body of the shoe, and it really helps you get kind of a nice clean lockdown. And it really lends to, I think, that yarn upper mixed with the gusseted tongue gives you a really nice, almost custom feeling fit, which makes the Clifton Edge a really cool shoe. Okay, so let's get into the fit, the feel, and the ride. First off, the fit. I hopped right into the Clifton Edges and found them to be pretty darn comfortable. I have a rather narrow foot, heel to toe, a narrow foot. So the Clifton Edge fit pretty well, but I would say if you have a wider foot, it probably won't fit as well. That being said, it also even had a slight kind of pressure spot for me on the arch. After about 15 miles, totally was over it. Maybe that's just a working in the shoe, breaking it in kind of period, but it took a little bit of getting used to, but didn't feel it at all after about 15 miles. But I would say on the upside, I'm going to talk about the upper. Like I said before, that yarn really fits nice to the foot. Then you have the gusseted tongue, which also helps with lockdown. So if the foot itself, at the base of it, that narrowness fits your foot really well, I think you're gonna have an amazing lockdown and a really good fit running in the shoe. Okay, so how does this shoe feel out there while you're running, right? Well, I would say that you're probably not gonna be too comfortable going 5K pace, but I would say in the Clifton Edge, a 10K pace or slower, you're gonna hit a lot of sweet spots. You can head out there and get into a run, and I think you're gonna find a really nice, smooth cruise run where your mind can kind of wander on those daily slogging out the miles, maybe that long run. The longest I've gone in it is 15 miles, but I could definitely see someone taking this to a 20, 21 miler, and God bless you, you could totally run a marathon if you wanted in these. I probably wouldn't pick it for a marathon, but you totally could. But back to the feel of the shoe. I think that early stage Meta Rocker really does justice and speaks to the technology that's in there when it gives you that transition. Again, I'm a midfoot striker, so I think it really just helps me rock through, crush away some miles, and just enjoy the run. Finally, I will say this shoe has minimal breakdown so far after 160 miles, and I could easily see it going 250. Probably you could even go into 300s with this shoe, and that rubberized EVA is going to do you nice. It's going to make this shoe worth the money I think. Okay, so on to my final thoughts about this shoe, the price point, maybe what you could compare it with and other shoes at a similar price point that you might want to consider before going for the Clifton Edge. The Clifton Edge comes in at $160 right now as of what I just checked online. So that being said, that's a pretty decent price point for a shoe that you can do a lot of miles in. You can slug them out. It can do longer runs. I just don't think you're really going to want it if you are planning for like a 5K or probably even specifically 10K training. Additionally, at $160, there's a handful of other shoes that you could probably go for that could be the all-in-one shoe. Obviously, the one shoe that I can speak for is the Saucony Endorphin Speed. Now, if you can get that shoe in a colorway that you like, I think it's kind of hard because they're like all sold out because it is like the shoe of 2020. But I would say at the same price point, at least try on a pair of Saucony Endorphin Speeds, just because that's a shoe that personally I can speak from. You can do a marathon, your long runs, tempo days, speed work, track workouts, 5K time trials. Like you can do it all in that shoe. And this is not a hype of the Endorphin Speed, but it kind of is. Additionally, I would say I've also run in the Nike Zoom Fly 3s, which come in now at $120. They were $160 for a long time. But for the holiday season now, 2020, you can pick up a pair of the Zoom Fly 3s for $120. Pretty cool looking shoe, big stack height, carbon plate, similar weight as the Clifton Edge. And again, I've run a marathon in it. I did that downhill turkey trot 5K in the Zoom Fly 3s. So, with a grain of salt, the Clifton Edge is a really cool shoe. I would say it's pretty specific though to what you're gonna do in it, which is basically if you're cranking out miles, generally at a slower pace, and you need one shoe to do that specifically in, and maybe you save it for the slower daily training sessions, and then you save it for probably like your long runs. And then maybe you have a shoe, that is specifically your tempo shoe that you do a little bit more speed work in. That's kind of the world that I see the Clifton Edge really fitting in. And that kind of leads me now to the Kyle McCue running rating. This is only my second time doing this, but the Clifton Edge, the Hoka One Clifton Edge for me comes in at a 4.2 out of 5. So that's a 4.2 out of 5. It's still a pretty high rating. I don't know if I'm being too kind with this, but I will say that I recently did a review of the Rincon 2, the Hoka One Rincon 2, and I thought that shoe was pretty great daily trainer, lightweight, and I gave it a 4.1. So, but I felt like the Clifton Edge was a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more versatile, and it's going to last longer. Just unfortunately, it's like $35 more. So if that breaks the bank for you, you got to go for a lighter shoe. But I think it is, in general, I tend to just want to grab the Clifton Edge a little bit more than the Rincon 2. So that's my rating. That's how I place the Clifton Edge against its current competitors. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is my recap, my review of the Hoka One Clifton Edges. I've run about 160 miles in it. Hopefully you got something out of this video. I know there's tons of reviews out there. I haven't seen too many reviews of this shoe, so I'm not sure how many people are really running in it. But once again, I want to thank Fleet Feet for hooking me up with a pair. I thought it was a lot of fun to run in them. I'm totally going to take them at least another 100 miles. And that's going to wrap up this video. I will see you next time, everybody. Enjoy the holidays. Stay safe. Peace. Can you Hoka? Are you Hoka? Can you Hoka? Look at these things. Look at that heel tab. I swear it's cool. There's some pretty cool colorways of this too.